Guys, hope you're well. Just a very quick video to go through how my client Denise made £3,000 in 72 hours. You probably saw me post it in the free deal sourcing group. For those of you who are already in the group, you probably have seen all of the examples or a lot of the examples of people who have joined the program and very quickly made that money, right? So I'm just going to run through it with you. Hopefully you can see everything in the background nice and clear. So as you can see here, look how Denise made £3,000 in 72 hours. Absolutely crazy story, one of many. And hopefully you just take some motivation and inspiration from it more than anything and actually get out there and start implementing the steps that I've given you guys, right? And just so you know, the steps that I've given you are exactly what Denise and all the other guys have used to get these results. Literally, there isn't really anything else outside of what I've already shown you guys that you need to do. Now, of course, Denise is in the program, so she's getting 24/7 support, daily phone calls. So, of course, there's that added support that she's got there. But in terms of the actual strategy, she has exactly the same thing as you guys, right? So hopefully just that in itself will give you a bit of a push. So let's get straight into it. So as you can see here, Denise actually drew, let me just actually zoom in a little bit more just to make sure you can see it okay. So Denise joined the program on the 10th of June this year, 2024. As you can see here. So this is Denise White. She's joined the program. And straight away you can see positive attitude, raring to go, very ambitious. So you can see here, good afternoon, Abundance family. Please call me D. It's less formal. She's from South East London. And as you can see here, totally new to this side of the property field. So she is literally starting from scratch, like many others in the group. I would probably say the majority of the people I work with are complete newbies. They've started from scratch. Yes, they might have dabbled in property here and there, but in terms of sourcing rent-to-rent deals, most of the people that I work with are completely new to it. So that was exactly the same situation for Denise. As you can see here, absolutely motivated, committed, and focused on getting my rent-to-rent business up and running really quick. And you can see at the bottom here, her aim is to turn her rent-to-rent business into a flourishing, progressive, expanding company, which I thought was absolutely amazing. You know, she's got the right vision. She's come into the program with a positive outlook and completely hit the ground running, but we'll get into that in a second, right? So that was the 10th of June. And the reason why I'm stressing that is because I want you to remember these dates, right? Just so you can see how quickly things can turn around if you're following the process properly. So that was the 10th of June. Now, what I show the guys how to do when they join the program is first things first, get yourself into all the free Facebook groups. Again, these are steps that you guys have access to as well, whether it's via the masterclasses that are in the program, not in the program, in the free group, or just the content that I've put out there. You know, I don't really hide the strategy, right? So first thing I did was get Denise to join all the Facebook groups, which of course, I'll kind of go into more detail about why that's so important. But in short, you have thousands and thousands of people that are all interested in the same topic in those groups. So in our situation as deal sources, specifically focusing on rent to rent, we want to be in all of the rent to rent Facebook groups, and they're free. They are free, right? So you join those groups, which Denise done. And the next step is to start building your investor list, which for me is probably one of the most important activities that you're going to do for this business, right? Because your investor list is essentially the backbone of your business. If you don't have anyone to sell deals to, you don't have a business, right? Even if you don't have deals, but you have investors, you still have a business because you can leverage that list of investors, right? So you can sell other people's deals and you have that a bit more control because they're your buyers that are actually taking it on. Again, we'll go into more detail about that a little bit later, but pretty much Denise started and hit the ground running, got into as many groups as possible. I checked over those to make sure she was in the right groups. And then she started building her investor list using the steps that I've shown. And what I really liked about Denise was that she took everything on board that I said, right? So I show you guys how to send written messages, send voice notes, which I think is a little bit more powerful than written messages. But even more than that, what I show the guys in the program, and I'm sure I've kind of put it out there, just in general, is just being a little bit more creative, right? Because investors are so used to everyone approaching them the exact same way. Everybody takes the same message, sends it out to them, and it just kind of becomes almost spamish, right? I've had conversations with hundreds of investors that have pretty much said the same thing. Look, we prefer to be approached in a more human way, right? So they like to hear your voice, which is why I suggest voice notes. But even more so, if they can see your face as well, that's going to help you really break the ice, bring those barriers down, bring those guards down before you've even had the conversation with them, right? So I love the fact that Denise took that on board. And what she actually done, which you can see here, is she actually started making videos to send to investors, right? So she made like one video, or she made a few different ones, sent me a few different versions. And pretty much in that video, she said what I suggested you guys should say in your voice notes or in your written messages. And the video just came out really, really well. And she started sending that out to her investors, and the list just blew up, started growing really, really quick. So you can see straight away here, look, this is the 18th of June. So remember, she started on the 10th of June. So only 8 days later, and she had already reached out to me to say she'd pretty much completed her qualified investor list. Now, when I say completed, I don't mean, that's it. We're not going to add any more people to it. But I set kind of a target for the guys that join the program. Try and hit a certain amount of investors for each area. And that's going to make your life a lot easier when it comes to selling the deals. So you can see here, I said, have to say a big well done to Denise. Only joined the program last week and has already completed her qualified investor list, which was absolutely crazy. A week later. I mean, we see it happen, quite a bit. But usually it takes people a few weeks to get it to that number. And then from there, it's a lot easier. But she hit the ground running straight away. So that was 8 days later, she had built her investor list, or she had got it to a level that we were happy with, right? If we just come down here, you'll see she also started to build her co-sourcing network. So my strategy, again, you guys would know this, but just in short, my strategy is building your investor list first. So you have qualified investors, you know exactly what they're looking for. They're all looking for the same type of deals in the same area. So when you get a deal there, it's a lot easier for you to sell because you can just kind of chuck it into that pond of investors and usually someone's going to buy it, right? So you can see here, she very quickly got her investor list to a certain number and then started to build her co-sourcer list. And if you look here, she actually ended up with about 12 co-sourcers in her network. And when I say co-sourcers, for those of you who don't know what I mean by that, is a co-sourcer is another deal sourcer. So if Denise is a deal sourcer and she's built a list of investors all looking for deals in London, let's say, for example, and I'm also a deal sourcer and I also cover London, but I'm securing deals before I've actually taken the time to build an investor list. So whenever I get a deal, I actually struggle to sell it because I need to post it in the groups, hope a serious investor comes across it. And then, as you can imagine, loads of people reach out about the deal. There's loads of tire kickers. And in a lot of situations, those deals that are posted in the groups actually end up falling out of bed because a serious buyer doesn't come along quick enough, right? But in a situation like this, where let's say Denise has the buyers, she can help me sell that deal. Because if I send it to her and say, Denise, look, I've got this deal in London, just can't seem to find someone to buy it, Denise can send it straight to her list of qualified investors, right? So she doesn't have to post it in the groups or in the WhatsApp groups or kind of just put it out there and wait for someone to come to her, which we call reactive. She can be proactive. So she can post that deal out to her. I think she had 9 investors by this time. So a week later, she had 9 investors. So she sends it out to all 9 of those investors. And if someone's interested, then we can very quickly get them through the doors to view it and kind of go from there. But we'll get to that in a second. So she had 12 co-sourcers in her network. And you can also see here that she said she only contacted 3 of them, right? So this post, just to kind of rewind slightly, this post that she's putting in the group here is actually in response to a post that I put in our program group every Wednesday. It's called the midweek update. And what I kind of do is just get everyone, whether you're new or old, to just give me an update on where they are with things. And then what I do is in the comments, I go back and I respond and I just kind of give you some tips, right? We do a daily phone call. So on the call, we go into more detail, but just in this post, I just kind of give you some quick tips just to respond to how you're getting on since Monday that week. So you can see here, she had 12 co-sources. She'd only spoken to 3 by the Wednesday. So immediately you can see I've come back to her with the response, need to catch up with all 12 of those co-sources. Yeah, they may have some deals that you can sell. And honestly, guys, I can't tell you how many times I've had to remind people to go and speak to that network to secure deals, because literally I have people saying to me, "Oh, Gary, look, I've got buyers, but I just can't seem to secure any deals." And I say, "Okay, well, how many co-sources have you spoken to?" And usually they haven't spoken to many, if any at all, right? I think people really undervalue having a co-sourcer, a good co-sourcer, kind of within your network, or good co-sourcers within your network that can provide deals. It's just such a quicker process, right? If you're trying to get deals from an agent, you've got to go back and forth, make the offer, hope they go through it, get it secured, get the paperwork signed up. There's a back and forth. If you're getting deals directly from landlords, same thing. There's a back and forth, put forward the proposal, and it's just a bit of a process, right? But when you get a deal from a co-sourcer, all of that's done already. So again, we'll use me and Denise as an example. If I've got the deal and Denise has the buyers, if I send Denise that deal, all she has to do, I mean, of course, she can do quick checks. She can quickly go on Airbnb and have a look and make sure the nightly rates make sense. And just, she can have a quick look at the deal, but she doesn't have to go back and forth with the landlord and do the long process, right? Once she's satisfied with that deal, which she can literally take 5 to 10 minutes to check, she can send it straight out to her list, right? So the whole back and forth that you usually go through when you're trying to secure the deal yourself, she eliminates that by having a co-sourcer like myself who's already done that, right? So actually we're splitting our workload 50-50. We're splitting it in half. And we're going to do the same thing with the fee once the deal's sold, right? So it was very important that I reminded Denise to catch up with her co-sourcing network, have the right discussion with them, and just see what they've got available. Because, you know, at the moment you feel like you haven't got any deals, but actually someone on your network probably does have some deals that someone on your list would take, right? It's just being that go-between and staying in contact. So anyway, Denise went away and started speaking with her co-sourcing network. And actually, luckily, one of the people within her network is another one of our members, as it goes, a gentleman named Kent, as you can see here. Kent is smashing it. Again, if you're in the free group, have a look through the win section. You'll see many examples of Kent, you know, having 10K months, selling his first deal, selling his second. Like, he's just absolutely crushed it, and is still selling deals till this day. So Kent had a deal at the time, had a little bit of interest on it, but actually Denise reached out as I suggested, and they ended up speaking. So this was the deal here. It was a rent to SA in London, SE16. The next thing I know, I catch up with Denise and Kent, and Denise has sent the deal out to her list and has already generated interest. Guys, bearing in mind, this is still only 1 week later. This is about 7 or 8 days later, if that. I don't even think it's even that much, right? So it's just over a week or so later from her actually joining the program, right? Absolutely crazy. So you can see here, you know, we kind of went back and forth, had different discussions about the deal, and you know, I think we actually had a group call in between that time, so I had the opportunity to kind of really make sure she understood everything and get more information from Ken if we needed to. So there was a little bit of back and forth. So you can see here she's just kind of saying thanks for the guidance. I kind of discussed with her about the NDA. So again, for those of you who don't know, before you are giving your investor full information about the deal, i.e. the full address or pictures that include the outside of the building, any information that they could use to go around you and take the deal without paying you, you need to make sure they've signed your NDA first, that protects you in that deal, right? Bearing in mind, we are not visiting these properties ourselves. So it's very important that we get these paperwork signed at the right time, right? So again, you can kind of see me and Denise are just kind of going back and forth about that, making sure she got it signed. And she said, yes, investor has signed it. And that's such a good sign, when an investor actually signs your NDA, that kind of shows you that they're genuinely interested, right? They're not going to take the time to go through and sign your NDA if the deal that you've sent them doesn't tickle their fancy. So that was a good sign already that she was interested, right? So once the NDA was signed, we actually made arrangements for that investor to go and view the property themselves. As you can see, 100% remote. So Denise never ever visited that property. She never ever met that investor in real life. She never ever met that landlord in real life. She never even met Kent in real life, to be honest, right? Kent just happens to be a member of our program, and they're covering the same area, so they're in each other's network. So this is 100% remote. All of this is all taking place without her having to physically be there. She was actually at work at the time, as it goes, right? So viewing took place. Investor was very, very happy with the property, and Denise received an offer shortly after. The offer was presented to the landlord, as we do. We present it verbally, and then we also put it in writing. And the landlord, there was a little back and forth over a couple of hours, but the landlord came back and accepted eventually, right? So the next day, I followed up with Denise. Hey, Denise, any news? And you can see here, she said, hi, Gary, my investor is extremely keen to wrap this up today. Landlord works full time, therefore not had a chance to check and sign the agreement or the contract. Hopefully it gets completed by this evening, right? So that was, you can see that was in the afternoon, about 1 o'clock, me and Denise spoke. It was only the following morning that Denise came back to me to let me know that the deal had been done, it'd been completed. You can see just here, 3K in the bag in 3 days. Ab fab, which is amazing. It's crazy. Basically £1,000 a day when you really think about it. So 3K in 3 days. First deal done and dusted in 72 hours, right? And you can see here, biggest thank you in abundance goes out to our wonderful Gary Walker, myself. Your mentorship program is absolutely fabulous. The Zooms, the accountability, everything is worth more than diamonds or pearls, which is absolutely amazing. And you can see here, she put in a screenshot of the actual money coming in to her account, £3,000, payment complete, sent to DPW Property Group, which is Denise's company. Crazy. Absolutely crazy. And before I even go even more into that, I always like try and remind people how long people have to work, how many hours, how many days people have to work usually in a month to make £3,000. And being completely honest with you, I think we can all agree that most people are not even earning £3,000 a month, right? After tax. Yeah. So I mean, even before tax, most people are not taking home 3K. So for somebody who had only just started this business less than a month ago to then be able to transact a deal that pays her £3,000 over the space of 72 hours is absolutely crazy. Maybe I'm exaggerating it, right? Maybe I'm looking at it as something bigger than what it is. But to me, I look at things like that and I'm just like, it's crazy, without leaving your house, whilst you're at your full-time job where you're also going to be paid, you not physically having to travel there and actually see these properties yourself, meet these people yourself, you're able to orchestrate something like this that pays you this amount of money within such a short space of time is so powerful. And I remember, you can actually see here, I reached out to Denise. I think it was the next day, or maybe it was later that evening, because I know we spoke on one of our group calls, because we literally do a group call every day. So we spoke on the call. Obviously, she was very, very happy. Money received, money in the bank. For those of you who have kind of spoken with me before about the cost to join the program, you'll know, the fact that she's made this money in 3 days is crazy, because not only has she made back the money she paid to join the program, she's made profit again, which is crazy, right? we actually charge less than 3K to join the program, and she's just done that in 3 days. So anyway, I reached out to her the next day, or sorry, later on that evening, because I wanted to find out, how do you feel about it? Some people feel overwhelmed, they don't know what to do next. Some people are kind of like, that's enough. I've made my money, I'm done. Some people are like, this has motivated me to go even harder. So I like to reach out and find out. So anyway, reached out. How do you feel after doing your first deal? And she said, super duper happy, especially after only receiving the deal on Wednesday. And literally, it was nearly done and dusted yesterday. It was only due to the landlord finishing work late, hence the delay until this morning. Basically, 3 days work. So actually, what she's saying is, this could have actually been done and dusted in 2 days. It's only because the landlord was working, right? So we needed the landlord, of course, to sign the contract to actually complete the deal. But she had to go to work. So because of that, the deal ended up spinning over to 3 days rather than 2. But I mean, look, who's complaining, right? Still a really, really amazing result to get for somebody who's just started, right? And we have so many examples of these types of results. This isn't a one-off. I'm not saying everybody does this. I mean, on average, my clients are selling their first deal within 4 to 5 weeks of joining the program. So, Denise smashed that, smashed it out the park, and many others have. But this was just crazy to see. So, I think that the nicest part about this is that Denise actually went on to continue to sell deals, right? Still selling deals to today. I just actually caught up with her yesterday. She's got about 5 deals going through as we speak, right? But this was, I believe, a couple of days after her being paid for that deal. So reached out, just to kind of see how she's getting on. And she mentioned that her and Miriam, which is another member of the program, Miriam is a record breaker in our program. She made 10K in 1 week. But yeah, her and Miriam was working on a deal. You can see here, she said, my investor just viewed the property. She called me when she was about to leave. She's going to make an offer for the full asking price when she gets home. This is somebody who's just been paid 3K for a deal after 3 days work, after only joining this program a few weeks before, and now she's about to sell another deal a couple of days later. Absolutely crazy. So I said, oh wow, another one, that's brilliant. And then you can see the following day she said the offer was put in, and it was just a case of them going back and forth with the landlord. There was other offers on the table, so it wasn't as straightforward, but it just shows you how quickly you can go from selling that first deal to having the next one lined up. And then very quickly after that, she had deal after deal after deal and sold deal after deal after deal. So very, very powerful strategy once you know what you're doing. All right, I think that's the main thing. This is very straightforward, very easy. I personally believe pretty much anyone could do this, but of course you have to know what you're doing, right? And with the added support of myself and my team, you can just kind of accelerate that process and get those results even quicker, like Denise and all of the others. Please take the time to look through the wins section in the free deal sourcing group, because there are many, many examples of this. I'm just doing this breakdown video on Denise. I'm going to be doing many of these, actually. I'm just kind of working my way through. But when you get some time, just go through it yourself and you'll see all of these examples. These are real people. You can reach out to them, have a chat. Points to take away from this video, because I'm going to wrap it up now. Number 1, build a list of qualified investors first. And I have to stress the first part, right? Because I see so many deal sources rushing to try and secure deals. I get messages every day. I've secured a deal. I'm securing deals. What do I do? I can't seem to sell them. And every time I ask about how many qualified investors they have on their list, 9 times out of 10, it's either none or very, very little. Or they have investors on their list, but they're not qualified. They've never actually spoken with them. They've just kind of added them to a list. You have to do this in a certain way to really make sure that the people you're adding to this list and you're sending these deals to are serious. They're in a position to move forward. They're ready to go. They're happy to pay that £3,000 sourcing fee, etc., etc. Right? So very important to make sure that you're building a list of qualified investors first before you start worrying about deals, so you can generate interest really, really quickly for them when you do secure them. So that's number one. Number two is building a network of qualified co-sourcers that will send you deals to sell so that you can go on to split the fee. And again, you can see I've underlined qualified because it is very important that you qualify the sources as well, right? And people are always kind of shocked when I say qualifying the sources. I'm kind of like, yeah, because unfortunately there are a lot of cowboys out there now, right? Deal sourcing is the easiest way to get into property. It's the lowest barrier to entry in terms of price, what you've got to put in, investment, time you've got to put in, etc., etc. It's the easiest way to get in and start making some money. I think Denise is a prime example of that, right? This is someone who's just jumped in, and in two to 3 weeks, I think it was about 2 and a bit weeks, she's made 3 grand. How many other businesses can you do that with without you having to put in a significant amount of money? So very, very, very important that you get that right, and qualifying those co-sources to make sure that they're serious is really, really important as well. Just to make sure that everything kind of aligns, right? There's no point spending time making sure your investor list is right, and then your network doesn't kind of follow suit, right? But again, that's something I kind of go into in more detail with the guys that are in the program. Number three is stay in contact with the network. This is such a big one. So I can't explain to you how important this is. Again, you saw it from this example, right? Just imagine if when Denise gave me her midweek update and said she had 12 co-sources in her network, only contacted 3. If I just said, okay, no problem, we'll contact them again next week, right? And in that time, Kent sold that deal to one of his investors. She would have missed out on that opportunity. That's not to say other opportunities wouldn't have come, but that opportunity clearly was perfect. It was perfect timing. She had the investors, she had the person in the network, the deal fit, everything just worked, right? But what was the main catalyst for that even starting? It was her staying in contact with the network, catching up with Ken. Hey, Ken, oh, okay, I can see you've got a deal in London. I actually need a deal in London right now. Can I send it to my list? Yeah, of course, go for it. They communicate. Next thing you know, investors viewing the property. The next thing you know, there's an offer. The next thing you know, it's a sale. The next thing you know, £3,000 is in your bank, right? So have to stay in contact with them, and that's just to make sure that you're always kept in the loop. You know when there's deals available, you know when there's deals coming, right? Because sometimes it's not even necessarily that there's a deal ready right now. It might mean that, okay, there's a deal coming in 3 days, right? I'll get the information over to you when it's fully ready. All that does is allow Denise to go back to her list and say, hey guys, look, I've got a deal coming in London in 3 or 4 days. Here's brief details, not fully secured just yet, but I just want to let you know about it up front, right? That's the luxury you have when you've built an investor list. Most deal sources cannot do that. They have to wait till there's a deal physically there for them to then post it in the groups, post it in the WhatsApp groups, and just hope that someone kind of stumbles across it. But we can approach it a little bit more differently with the way that we're going about things, right? So very powerful. Number 4, start discussing the deals with your investors as quickly as possible to give yourself an edge. And this is another one that I think people really undervalue. I could give you so many examples of the guys speaking with landlords. So the deal is not secured just yet, but they're speaking with a landlord. The landlord is giving them positive responses. So pretty much they can see that they're going to take the deal on, but they're just kind of going back and forth. Maybe it's that they're trying to come to a mutual agreement on what the rent is, what the monthly payment is, right? Whatever the situation is, again, we want to start discussing that opportunity or that deal or that lead with our list as soon as possible, to be honest, right? And the reason why is because what happens is, if I go to you, if you're an investor and I contact you and I say, hey, look, I'm speaking with this landlord in London. I know you're looking for rent-to-rent deals in London from our last discussion. Look, she's open to doing what we're proposing. The only thing we're stuck on is the rent. We're going back and forth in it right now. So the deal's not fully secured, but I'd just like to find out a little bit about what you think about it, right? Remember, these are investors that are actively looking for these deals. So when you ask that question, or when you put that opportunity in front of them up front before it's even secured, one, they're going to give you their take on it, which might actually help you secure the deal. So they might say, oh, Gary, look, if you can get it at this amount, I'd be really interested. And then I can go back to the landlord and say, hey, well, look, I've actually started speaking with my clients already. I have someone that will take it on for such and such amount. What do you think about it? So now it's helping me start that negotiation, potentially secure that deal. That's one way that it's beneficial. The second way is that you're generating interest up front. So again, if they say, Gary, look, get it at this price, I'll take it. I go back to the landlord, I tell them the price, the landlord's happy with it, or we go back and forth. But what happens is when the deal is secured, or if that landlord says, yes, I'll take that offer, I've already got the investor lined up because I've had the discussion with him up front, haven't I? So this is why it's so important to, going back to point one, have the investor list built first before we start even trying to tackle any deals. And it also gives us that position of power, right? It gives us that position of power because we know that when we're speaking to these landlords or to agents, when you get to speaking to agents or to co-sourcers or to whoever, wherever the deal's coming from, when we're speaking to them about these deals, there's an element of confidence because we know we genuinely have buyers waiting, right? Which most deal sources don't. So these are really, really important points to take away. Again, for those of you who've been following me for a while, you would have seen me talk about a lot of this stuff before. You would have seen some of these examples, probably seen me speak about Denise when the actual sale happened and the other sales. So I hope that this is still valuable for you. I hope you're still taking, actionable steps from it. But if you are not, if you are starting your deal sourcing business and you're struggling for whatever reason, whether it's you're having issues with investors, finding them, securing them, getting them interested in deals, whatever it is. If you're having issues with agents, right, whether it's building relationships with them, getting yourself in the door, managing to get deals from them, whether it's issues with co-sourcers, right? A lot of people struggle with co-sourcers, bad communication, deals that are not 100% deliverable, etc., etc. Whether it's issues with landlords, you don't know what to say to them. You don't know how to get them to say yes, right? You don't know where to find them. Whatever issues you're having, myself and my team will be able to help you out. I've been doing this for 14 years. I have taught over 150 people like yourself from scratch. Denise is one example out of 150 plus. So if you need a hand, I'm the person that can help you. And the way for us to kind of start that process is a free one-to-one strategy call. So I'm not charging you anything. We will jump on a call. I will go through everything with you from start to finish. We will go through your roadmap, see what needs to be done. For someone who's starting brand new and hasn't done anything yet, we will literally build it from scratch. But for those that have already started and are maybe struggling to get the results, I'm going to go through it with you and show you exactly what you're missing, right? So the way to do that is to book a call with me, a one-to-one call. I'm going to post the link to book the call underneath this video. If you're struggling to see the link for any reason, just shoot me a DM on school or respond to me or leave a comment, whatever you need to do to let me know that you're struggling to see the link, and then I can send it to you directly. Okay. On that link, you will be able to see which days and times I have available for phone calls. Try and book it in as soon as you can, because once those slots are gone, you'll have to wait for another week or so. Okay. I really, really look forward to jumping on a call with you and going through everything and helping you get your business to the right stage. Listen, Denise is no smarter or better, although she's a smart lady, right? Really, really smart lady. She's no smarter or better than any one of you that are watching this video. So if she can do it, you can do it. If I can do it, you can do it, right? If there's 150 other people who have done exactly what you want to do, i.e. started from scratch, made that first 3K really, really quickly, usually within the space of a month, and then gone on to make the 10Ks in a month and more. We have many, many examples of people making more. Then definitely we need to jump on a call so I can help you out and get you to that stage. Okay. So look, thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video. I appreciate your time and I look forward to speaking with you. Take care.